Cooler Master MasterCase Maker 5T. Let's unbox this beast. Hey, what's going on guys? I'm Alex from Simple Mods and welcome back to another video. I know I just recently covered another case that I'm starting to mod. However, I have another one for you guys, and this one will be my entry into the 2017 Cooler Master CaseMod World Series. Now, if you don't know about the Cooler Master CaseMod World Series, it's a yearly case modding competition hosted by Cooler Master in which anyone can enter as long as they use the Cooler Master case, of course. I'll have a link in the description with the full details if you want to find out more and everything that you need to do in order to enter. If you are thinking of entering, however, you do have to be quick as registrations close on the 31st of March 2017. This year, Cooler Master, as well as all the other sponsors involved, which are Intel, Asus, Nvidia, HyperX, and Dremel, have about $40,000 in cash and prizes to be won, which is pretty damn crazy. For my entry, I'm using the Cooler Master MasterCase Maker 5T, but before I get into tearing down and modding into this case, I just want to give you guys a quick look around it and see what you can expect from this case. Maker 5T is an evolution of the Cooler Master MasterCase 5 series, and it follows the same interior chassis. However, it now has these really nice red accents and a new top panel with an integrated handle which can pretty much support the entire weight of a system inside the case. So if you are someone that always moves around their build, this handle could be quite useful to you. The Maker 5T also has tempered glass side panels with a very interesting key locking mechanism, so you better make sure you don't lose the two included keys that come in the box, otherwise you might have a pretty hard time opening up your case. The best thing about this case, however, is that internally nothing really changes, and all of these new additions that the 5T has can be purchased separately and added onto other MasterCase 5 cases. So if you do own a Cooler Master MasterCase 5, a 5 Pro, or even a normal Maker 5, you can actually buy the top panel integrated handle, for example, the tempered glass side panels, as well as other accessories in order to further upgrade your case. Now, the Cooler Master MasterCase Maker 5T currently retails for around $280 in Australia and $250 in the US. On the front panel, you will see the same familiar design that was introduced with the MasterCase Maker 5, with a nice red edge on top, which neatly connects it to a similar section on the top panel. When closed, the front panel is being held on by small powerful magnets, which allows it to easily open up and gives you access to the two 5¼ inch bays. Opening up the front panel will also allow you to easily pull it off in order to access the front panel internals, and they can then slide back in using the clips and hooks at the bottom. Taking off the front panel reveals a mesh cover which can be pulled off from the bottom to reveal two 140mm fans pre-installed, with the front panel officially only supporting a 240 or 280mm radiator. However, if you do remove the two 5¼ inch bay covers as well as the 5¼ inch bay itself, you can actually fit a 360mm long radiator in the front panel of this case. Moving on to the top panel, at the very front you will find all of your front panel connectors with a button to control the included LED strip, 4 USB 3.0 ports, a button for the integrated fan controller, the power and reset switch, as well as the headphone and microphone jack. The only thing I really don't like about this front panel I/O section is the piano black glossy finish, which I do believe will be able to scratch quite easily if you're not careful. Further along the top, you will see the integrated handle that I mentioned at the start of the video, with a red grilled out section underneath for airflow. There is also a covered section further along the top which can also be uncovered to allow more airflow. However, if you are into a more silent system, this can be left on, as there is enough airflow that can be pulled in through the red grilled area and from this very back section here as well. Same as the front panel, a section of the top is also held on by small powerful magnets and easily lifts off to reveal access to the top panel internals. You can now see the integrated handle better and how it mounts to the case. To take it off, it's quite easy. There is a screw on either side towards the back, and there are 3 more screws at the front. Once you take out the 2 screws at the back, you can take out the middle one at the front and just slightly undo the other 2, and the handle will be able to slide right off. You now have access to the top panel fan mounting assembly, which can also be taken off by undoing the 4 thumb screws, holding it in for an easier installation outside the case. You will notice the screws stay on the panel, making it very easy to mount back on. The fan assembly is able to hold either two 120 or two 140mm fans and has support for either a 240 or a 280mm radiator. Moving on to the back panel, you will find another 140mm fan mounted for a total of 3 included fans with this case, and you can also mount a 120mm fan in this back section area here as well, and it also supports radiators of the same respected sizes. Further down from that, you will find the 7 expansion slots, the power supply mounting, and a dust filter that pulls out from the back. Another thing to note about the power supply mounting is that the thumb screws, same as the top panel fan mounting assembly, stay on the panel for an easier installation once you have the power supply on, which is definitely a nice addition. Pretty much all of the thumb screws that come on this case will unscrew and then stay on the panel, and that's mainly because, if you haven't noticed by now, Cooler Master have worked a lot on this case to make it as simple to use and as toolless to disassemble as possible. So everywhere they could, Cooler Master have actually included thumb screws, so you don't even have to use any tools or anything like that to take out the main sections of the case. The dimensions of this case are 544mm long, 242mm wide, and 574mm tall. And now that you've taken a look around the outside of the case, let's check it out inside. You will find that the case is separated into two different chambers, with the power supply at the bottom, along with mounting for two 3.5-inch hard drives that can be taken out as well as moved in the other two available slots to allow room for a radiator to slide through in the cutout at the front section of the case. I suggest, if you do want to custom water cool this case, that you stick with a slim 30mm thick radiator in the top section, and in the front you can actually fit up to a 60mm thick radiator by moving or taking out the bottom 3.5-inch hard drive mounting. You do have to keep in mind, however, that if you do want to keep the bottom 3.5-inch hard drives in and have a 60mm thick radiator at the front, that this will limit the length of the power supply that you can use to about 190mm, and also be able to allow room for cables to stick out as well. So just on top of the power supply cover, there are two 2.5-inch SSD mounts with cable holes towards the back to be able to route cables to your SSDs, and right next to that are two more cable grommet holes, which will help to route cables to either your graphics cards or other expansion cards that you might have installed. The case does support motherboards up to E-ATX in size, however an E-ATX motherboard will slightly cover the three cable grommet holes in this area right here next to it. Just next to the motherboard area, you can find further mounting holes where you can actually install further hard drive cages if you need more hard drives in your build and are not using the front section for a radiator. So you can actually purchase different hard drive cages from Cooler Master and add to this case. You can also use these mounting holes with the included GPU support brackets, which can help with large GPUs in order to avoid sagging. It's a pretty cool feature, however it's not something that I would personally use. Same as the hard drive trays, at the bottom the 5.25-inch bay can be taken out just as easily by undoing a few thumb screws, and once the bay is off, this space can now accommodate a 360mm long radiator in the front section of the case. Before moving on to the back section, a good thing to note is that the Maker 5D supports graphics cards up to 412mm long, which is pretty crazy, though that is not counting for a front panel radiator that you might have installed. And in terms of tall CPU coolers, the Maker 5D supports heatsinks up to 190mm tall. On the back section of the case, you can see that there is a small channel to route cables through, and there are 3 straps to help with cable management. Right next to that, there is the 6-channel fan control that can also control the included magnetic LED strip, and right next to that are 2 mountings that can be used with the 2.5-inch SSD trays from the front section of the case, or you can also purchase more separately to be mounted in this area here. So again, same as the hard drive bays, you can actually purchase more small SSD trays from Cooler Master separately to add to this case. Another thing to note just before ending our quick look at the case is that you have about 2 centimeters of space in this back section here as well to hide your cables. However, if you are running out of room, you can always tuck away some in the bottom compartment next to the power supply. Anyways guys, that's gonna cover it for our quick look at this case. What I'll be doing from here is I'll disassemble as much of the case as I possibly can without actually drilling or cutting into this case, and once that's done, then we'll take a look at it. I'm going to discuss just a little bit about the mods that I'm thinking of doing to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick time lapse that I put together of me disassembling this case. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've disassembled as much of the case as I possibly could. There are still some things that I will take off. However, I will need to actually drill into the case to take out the rivets in order to take that out. But I do have some of the components just laid out here, and I'm going to just talk to you guys a little bit of what I'm going to do to this case in order to mod it. So the main theme for this case will be the new Mass Effect Andromeda game, and I will heavily base this case around the new Tempest ship that you get in the game. So it will be pretty much themed around that. So we'll be using black, white and red colors to make that happen. Now just have the motherboard here. Let me just grab it. So I'm using the Asus Rampage 5 Extreme. What I'm actually going to be doing is I'm actually going to be sort of inversing the motherboard tray, and the motherboard will be sitting up like that. So the I/O will be at the top now. So what I'm going to be doing in order to do that is I will need to actually take off the section here, take off that section, see if I can sort of turn it around. I still want to keep this section here, but I do want to turn this motherboard tray section around the other way. So I'll take the I/O from the back, mount it to the top of the case. So I will need to fabricate some new panels for that, and then I will need a new back panel as well. Now I do have the power supply here as well, and then I do have just the radiator that I'm going to be using in the front. I'm not sure if this is exactly how it's going to go, but I will go with a slimmer radiator in the front rather than a thicker one. I will have the fans on the outside because I do want the lights to shine through that. Through the front of the case. Now the power supply, what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to be mounting it here like that, just so I can free up everything at the bottom. Now it will actually go through this, so we'll have to cut through this panel here. So the power supply will sort of slide in all the way down, and then I'll have the cable, I'll have to cut into the bottom panel, and then I'll have the cable coming in from underneath. So the case is missing the feet now, so it will actually be some room there. Will be enough room to mount the cable for the power supply. I just have it the other way around now just because the button there. So the cables will actually be sticking out in the top, then sliding in through the back just through the section here. So you can sort of imagine it now just with the motherboard like that, and then the power supply, one of the radiators there. And then what I'm going to be doing is it's going to be two graphics cards, so they're going to be sliding down like that, and then all the motherboard, CPU area and all that, so it'll all be water cooled, and then all the tubes, also have them coming out from there, and it'll just be straight lines shooting down into this panel, and then I'll have everything connecting at the bottom. And then what I'm actually going to be doing is I have asked Cooler Master to send me, so this is just the plastic top section of the case, so I have asked Cooler Master to send me just another section like this, so you can actually buy those kits separately. You know what I was saying before, that you can actually buy them and mount this new top panel onto your other MasterCase 5 cases, but you don't have the 5T. So we'll actually be mounting one on the back like that, and then the front panel there, so it'll all sort of have this same shape going around it. Now what I'm going to be doing on the back here as well, not exactly sure how it's going to go yet, but just here I'm going to be mounting another slim 240 radiator with the fans on the outside again. I might have that actually sliding in all the way at the bottom, so then I can have the all the connectors and everything, so everything's sort of going to join up at the bottom with the radiator in the front, the one at the back, all of the tubes coming from the graphics card, the CPU area and all that, so that will all be connected at the bottom. So the bottom section of the case will all be just to show off the tubes and all that. So that's why I decided to mount the power supply here and not keep it there, because I think would have been able to keep it there as well, and still be able to mount a 240 radiator here once I inverse the motherboard. So anyways guys, that's pretty much it. That's the main idea behind this case mod. So what I'm going to be doing now is I will start cutting into this case, just sort of start making all the accommodations for the new layout that I want to create inside this case. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will have part 2 up once everything is done. So if you did enjoy this video, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.